Okay, hi, Dr. Hemrick. Hi, Mr. Sather. Um, okay, this is recording. This is the first time I've used this, so um, 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so we did our disordered case project on amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. All right, so just really quickly, I don't need to go over this, but we're talking about a 57-year-old man, Mr. Hansen. He's already been diagnosed when he comes to us with ALS. Okay. Um, he's having troubles with articulation and swallowing. He's already been diagnosed. Onset began, so when did he first start noticing that there were problems? That was a year ago. And since then, the functionality has decreased of his swallowing mechanism. I put this in the case history that he is a retired teacher. And the reason being is that he's a professional speaker. So he's going to be much more animated usually in his intonation, in his stress, in his all of that. So he's since retired because he's embarrassed and he wants to get back to work. So when the samples were taken, we obviously didn't take the samples. Clinical procedures were followed. Mic to mouth different distance, excuse me. So traditionally, let me just check up my notes here. Is sustained phonation is 5 centimeters, and then spontaneous speech sample is going to be 15 centimeters. So there is a difference. Samples are recorded and stored. This is just so that they're stored the way that they sound, the closest so they sound in its original form. Oh my goodness, there's a lot to talk about. So this is the sampling order. Sustained this is pretty much protocol. Again, he only took one sampling. The clinician only took one sample of sustained I thought this was kind of interesting. He probably realized that it was 25 seconds, so he didn't need another, right? Pataka, this is for rate. How quickly can he do it? Coughing and grunting is for how's that respiratory system working? Sentence repetition. He does this for nasality, for a hypernasality, actually. So he uses a pinch nose test, which is a perceptual measure. So for instance, sweetheart, I can't help you. Give me a second. So for instance, bye Bobby a puppy comes out like my mommy a mummy, muppy or whatever. So, but if you pinch your nose because the consonant is in the same place, then it comes out correct as bye Bobby a puppy. So that's interesting. He also does sentence repetition and then records a speech sample. So I'm going to talk about, with the results, I'm going to just talk about findings. Okay. So what have we got here? Fundamental frequency was within normal limits. So if you read this like a sentence from left to right, here's fundamental frequency. Here is, oh, I guess I don't have a little, here, how do I do this? Anyway, so fundamental frequency, I don't want to mess up my, is 129. He's within normal limits. He's a man, so he's within expected age and gender. Sweetheart, just give me 1 minute, okay? Jitter is within normal limits. This was actually surprising because this is a cycle-to-cycle duration variability. In ALS, I want to say traditionally, but there is no traditional. You're expecting that it's going to be elevated along with shimmer. And this would be due to the roughness. Shimmer is out. It is elevated. So there's that. This is the perceptual, the shimmer is the shakiness in the voice that you hear perceptually. Harmonics to noise ratio, excuse me, is so your fundamental frequency and then all your harmonics compared to your noise. This is diminished, so he is not having as many harmonics. They're being dampened. This is correlating with his breathiness and hypernasality. Okay, for connected speech, we have fundamental frequency, again, within normal limits for his age and his gender. His pitch sigma, again, I noted at the beginning of this presentation that Mr. Hansen is a teacher, so he's a professional speaker. So we would expect prior to the onset of this disorder, which is a weakness disorder, and it's damaging his direct pathway, so therefore his upper and lower motor neurons are affected, which means his speech mechanism is affected and also extremities. So going back to this, pitch sigma, in this case, Mr. Hansen is at 1.44 semitones. Semitones is it's like an octave range, right? It's, you know, how the range of your voice, right? So the normal range for male and female is 2 to 4 semitones, and he's below that. So my guess is that prior to getting sick, he was maybe even above that, because teachers tend to be much more animated and have much more control over the voice, especially if he was in the classroom, you know, a high school teacher. He's used to pacing and stress and things like that. So this is pretty significant. And we would usually correlate this with perceptually your MFPR, which was not taken, I'll get to in a moment. Noise harmonic ratio is diminished. I'm trying to get within, oh my goodness, I'm going over average. This was all, okay, this was within normal limits. Again, this was surprising, and I think it's because he's not using his articulation, so those muscles that are innervated are not being affected by co-articulation. These things were not taken. The rest of the dynamic range was not taken. Spectrogram. So we noticed a lot of nasalization. So he did voice onset time was also much more fricatives. There was more noise and not precise S being shown in the spectrogram. Did I skip something? Yes, I'm going to go back a little bit. The spectrogram analysis, which we observed on Pratt, looking at F1, F2, F3, again, because that innervation is not happening, we're not going to get the expected results from that, okay? So Mr. Hansen's at 612, and we would expect a 300. This has to do with F1 is your tongue height. He's not able to innervate that velum, those muscles, the palatoglossus and palatopharyngeus. I hope I'm saying those correctly. I'm probably not. Aren't working efficiently. F2 is your tongue advancement and retraction, so that's your genioglossus muscle is also elevated, and that would have to do with the physiological aspects of that not working. F3 is your lip rounding, which is not affected. So therefore, in a nutshell, we do recommend voice therapy. It is not going to help the physiological aspects of this disorder. Voice therapy is recommended to help with swallowing techniques, to perhaps help Mr. Hansen with his vocal fatigue or trying to build some endurance. And that's it. Oh my goodness, that was a race to get through all that. Thanks so much. This has been a great class. I have enjoyed it. To me, this is, you can stop it now. I've gone over, but to me, this was, this particular project made me see how research can tie into actually all these disorders, as far as there's such a huge need in this field for ALS research. And so thanks.